Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Championship Rounds podcast. I'm Andrew, joined by, as always, Dan, boxing fan, and Taj, the boxing journals. Now, today we'll be previewing the Riyadh season card at Wembley, headlined by Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois for the IBF Heavyweight Championship, and of course, the 5 undercard fights that they have on there as well. Now, the main event is quite an intriguing fight. Both fighters that have had their fair share of sort of hardships throughout their career, I think is fair to say. Both had quite embarrassing losses, but both have bounced back from those losses and sort of are on the process of climbing back to the top of the division, even though I don't think any of us think that they're the best fighter in the division. They've got a belt attached to this fight. So yeah, what's your guys' thoughts on this fight?
Well, I like this fight, and I think it's coming at the perfect time for both fighters in their careers, with the bounce back from the losses and the performances they've had.
This is like them meeting at the peak of what they need to do in their career. It's like what do you say? It's basically what you said already. Like they've really gone through a lot in the past couple of years, like post COVID. But now they're fighting for a belt. I would have never thought to think about a couple of years ago that Daniel Dubois would be the champion and Anthony Joshua would be a challenger
Yeah,
for a belt.
coincidentally, since they both lost to Usyk as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the ridiculous thing about this fight. Sort of both have lost to Usyk. When was that? In the last sort of 2 years, is it? Maybe just over 2 years. And now they're fighting for Usyk's whole belt, which is the sort of ridiculousness of boxing politics, really. Like thinking about it, but yeah, I think Dubois is the one that I think has shocked the most people coming back like this. I'm sort of in the weird position where I always thought he would get to this stage. I've always seen him as this guy that's got raw physical gifts that are undeniable, and he's so young. He's 27. He's just turned 27. Dubois. And look at the names he's like. Look at the guys he's fought. Like fighting Joyce at 23 years old, and fighting Usyk and fighting all these guys, and like he's only 27. I always thought he'd pick up sort of a title in the way that he picked one up, sort of a vacant title, interim title, or beating a weak champion. Now's the acid test to see like how good he can really be. I think.
I feel like that's like the perfect opponent for him to showcase if he's really like at the top, or he was another champion just really handed a belt from interim to full champion. I do think he has pretty good skills for how young he is, but he just has the top worrying thing about him, which is his will, I guess.
Well, regarding his will, I mean, I think he's answered those for me, to be honest.
I think he's good now, but it's just like it's still in the back of everyone's head because it's not like it happened just like one time a couple years ago when he was young. He's done it multiple times. I think every time he's been knocked down, he's done it. He's like gone down on purpose. Like he's voluntarily.
The first Lorena one wasn't. I think he just got caught with a shot
No,
down his knee.
No, his knee was he got hurt, and then he was like, damn, this hurts, and then he like ducked under the following punch Lorena tried to hit him with to take a knee, but mostly all the rest of his knockdowns, he's gone down voluntarily.
Well, the two Lorena knees were probably smart in the first round. I
No,
might say them getting stopped.
Smart, but he's like fully given up in the Joyce and Usyk fights, even though those are his his top like 3 opponents he's fought. But.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Like the fighters aren't meant to quit, but everyone has a breaking point.
I don't really hold it too much to him that he quit against Joyce because literally had one eye. But
I blame his corner for that.
he had that messed up eye for like multiple like
Yeah,
basically like half the fight.
his corner left him up to dry, and he was right to leave 9 hours after that.
But that's a thing in that fight that hasn't changed. Like that's like one of the few things that hasn't changed since back then. His head movement is still not improved,
Yeah.
and he still takes flush straight punches. Like so most people, you could like dodge the straight punches, but then maybe get hit with something wild. He gets hit with all straight right hands, jabs over and over again.
I mean, he
He
does. But
still does.
one thing I noticed in the Hergovich fight is he actually steps back to take some of the sting off these right hands. I mean, not on everyone, but some of them he does.
He took so many right hands in the first like 3 rounds of the Hergovich fight. It was like alarming, but he just walked right through him. Really,
Yeah, that's one thing about Dubois. I've got a sneaking suspicion that he's got a ridiculous chin.
he does. I don't.
Like all time
He hasn't
great
really
level.
ever been like all over the place. Like his legs have never been like
Yeah,
outside of the ACL, like the knee injury. He's
yeah,
never been like staggered. He's always just been hit like I hit a lot of times and then just like near the end of the fights it's just like I can't do it.
yeah.
I mean, he certainly has a good chin. I mean, the thing about the Hergovich right hands is I don't think he was putting full power on them. I mean, he was
They're
reaching with
more on
he was
speed
reaching with
than
them. Like his feet weren't underneath him. I mean, of course, hit with Hergovich. Hergovich can punch whether he's fully putting his power into it or not. But I don't think he was putting full power into it. He was just trying to hit him.
it was more with
I think
speed
he's
than
boxing like an
power.
amateur. He's boxing like an amateur that fight. Bogovic. Just trying to land as many as possible.
He landed a lot, but
Yeah, he landed a lot. So yeah.
I mean, when he was throwing those right hands, his head was nearly like halfway across the ring over his knee.
he was like Kenny Bayless.
Bring your feet in. I mean, it's not hard. Get more power, more balance. Put your body behind it. That's where the power comes from. Your legs. Use your legs.
So that answered like half of the questions that surround him. Like he can take it, and that he didn't fall under pressure like he did in previous fights, but his defense is still his defense is still really bad.
Yeah. It's just
He doesn't get out of the way of any head punches really.
it's just whether Joshua can match that though, isn't it? Like, as in, there's this weird sort of equation. This is going to sound really weird. I'm trying to make a point, but there's a weird equation with people that are bad defensively against other people. Is their offense better or worse than the other person's offense against their defense? Which is basically are they better, isn't it? Really, that's what I'm trying to say. But I'm waffling massively here. But but it's like, is Dubois' defensive vulnerability
Worse than
worse
AJ's
than worse than AJ's offense with Dubois throwing recklessly at him? Because that's what Dubois was doing. He was getting hit against Hergovich, but he was also throwing ridiculous amounts of shots as well.
What round did the Dubois Hergovich fight end in? 7?
Hey,
7 or
I
8.
watched it
Yeah.
earlier. I watched it
I was
earlier.
like, that's not the like the amount of rounds he's had the other questions in, like the will and him like quitting and stuff. He didn't go as far as he did in the other fights. But I feel like AJ can take him there. AJ's still like technically sound and everything, but he outside of the Wallen fight in the past like 5 years, he hasn't really like let his punches go.
I've all three of us are just discounting Ngannou, yeah, because I am.
I didn't even really.
Yeah.
I don't really.
I might mention it, but it's not a big factor in any of my
It's
points.
like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
Mayweather fighting McGregor. It doesn't really
Same. Yeah. That's yeah.
I don't really care. It's an MMA fighter. Fury literally should have done what
Yeah.
he did. But
I agree. Joshua had. I think it's a mental thing with Joshua.
which I think he's overcome a little, like not all, the full thing,
Yeah.
but with how active he's been, I think he's like gotten all like the probably like to him like the butterflies out of him letting go of his punches because he's like progressively gotten more comfortable with throwing punches.
Yeah, but the thing with AJ is I think he's the guy that's going to get it back, and then he's going to lose it again when someone takes him into that place.
And I guess it's a question if Dubois is going to be that person to
I
finish all that progression.
Like,
I really think Dubois can then.
like he got it back after Klitschko. Then Ruiz took it again, and it's taken him a while to get it back again.
Usyk really took it
Then
I
Usyk
look
took
at-
it.
twice.
I look at Joshua and think, can he stand up to Dubois' power?
Well, it's the heavyweights.
Well,
They
this
both
is
can
heavyweight.
they both could just chin each other. We could
Yeah. But like,
Can he stand up to Dubois' power? Can Dubois stand up to AJ's power? Not if they get clean. Not if they get hit clean. They both hit hard. I mean, Dubois does hit harder, single shots. AJ's a better counter puncher, better combination puncher. He's faster hands. Dubois does have the faster feet, but
he's pretty like, stiff with his upper body.
I mean they're both stiff. I mean AJ does have
AJ
some
just
head
like
movement.
technically like better.
Well, see, I mean, Dubois does have a great jab, but the problem I have with his jab is it's usually one at a time. I mean, it took him about 4 rounds for him to start throwing a double jab. And if you're throwing one jab at Anthony Joshua, he's going to time that, and the right hand is coming over. I mean, we've seen this loads of times. He counters people with the right hand. I mean, he's not the best counter puncher in the division, but when he's counter punching for power to do damage, he is the best counter puncher
That's
in
like
the division.
The combination that started the end for Otto Wallin was the.
Yep, and slightly to mention the Ngannou fight is irrelevant, but
I was gonna say that first.
right
I was like,
hand
we
over
need
the
to talk-
top, right hand over the top of a jab with a double step, which is what Dubois does do. He has a double step before he jabs. Also did it against Charles Martin, but Charles Martin, who cares?
8 years.
And he did it early in his career. I mean, just constantly. I mean, he's been an excellent counter puncher. Just mentally, he's not always been there. Not always had the confidence to do it. And in his defense, 2 of his losses have been against, and it doesn't matter what position he would have been in. He's losing that fight.
9.5 times. That's.
No, every single time. There's not one time
I'm saying
if
this
they
one.
thought I don't.
Ooh.
I mean, he had a Zooey. I mean, Usyk fell with that body shot in the 9th round. What happened next? Usyk hurt him in the next round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if Dubois can last into the 2nd round, I think he has a very big chance. I think he has much better stamina than AJ.
In the second half.
Yeah, in the 2nd half of the fight, I think he has a much better stamina than AJ. But that's not to say he can't take out AJ early. Of course he can. I mean, he hits hard. He can take out anyone early.
I just worry. I've just got this image in my head. Dubois' straight right hand. A lot of it has this sort of arching angle to it. If you look at it, it's not really straight. A lot of the time,
It does.
sort of has a little bit of an arch. I just see sort of one of those sort of clipping AJ on the temple and his legs going. I can just see that in my head clear as day. And that's the worry for Joshua in this fight. Like, if he gets hurt, how quickly does he recover from getting hurt? That's the major issue with Joshua, and has been, in my opinion. Like, you saw it with Klitschko, Ruiz, he never really recovered.
When is the last time AJ's actually been hurt? Not out of like exhaustion.
I guess Ruiz. I mean, he was hurt slightly against Usyk
Yeah,
in the second fight. He was exhausted slash hurt in the 12th round of the Usyk fight.
yeah,
But he
Yeah.
was like, I would claim the Usyk ones to be more of like, damn, I've been punching forever, and now
Well,
he hit me with the ooh wee.
especially the first one. I mean, you could say he was more hurt than tired in the
Oh, I
tempo in
do
the second
remember
one,
the
but
first fight with the overhand left.
mm,
yeah.
yeah, that
That
was in the
slight one,
third
like the
round, I
third
think.
round. I think that was the third
Yeah,
round.
it was in the third round.
I
But
can
I
remember.
remember that was how many years ago?
21?
2021, like late 21.
That was
Yeah, sure. It was
September
in
Yeah, it
2021.
2021.
was September.
So 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years
But yeah,
ago.
it's been a while since he's been hurt. Dubois has been hurt. I guess it's
No,
not
but
the
no, but he hasn't been hurt. Like that's this is the thing. He's gone down, but has he been hurt?
Well, his eye was definitely high.
Yeah,
his eye
that
was hurt. His knee was
yeah.
hurt.
Separate. Like I'm sort of talking, sort of not injuries. Yeah, I don't think I've never seen Dubois hurt not from an injury.
Well, I said earlier, he hasn't really ever been like
Yeah,
stabbed. But
it's the weirdest thing.
it,
But I
it is pretty weird because you've seen a lot of fighters that have like they'll have uh, where they'll never go down or like they barely have ever gone down, but they've been hurt like a good amount of times.
yeah,
He's been down, I think, once against Joyce, twice against Usyk, 3 times against Lorena,
yeah, 6 times.
6 times in the past 4 years.
Yeah, he's
He's
never
really,
really been.
but he's been knocked out twice. It's kind of
Yeah,
you look at BoxRec. It says he's been KO'd 2 times, which without context looks crazy. But he just sat on his knee, just sat on the knee,
yeah,
and pretended like he was trying to get up in time. But
yeah. He didn't. He just quit most fights. I don't know. This fight to me is so interesting, man. So
it's gonna be really, it's
interesting.
gonna be one of those weird fights where you like they're in the ring and when they're about to like when they're squaring up against each other in the first like 30 seconds of the fight, you're gonna be like, I would have never thought these two would be in a ring together.
It's sort of weird because the way Dubois was coming through, the noise around him, sort of 2017, 2018, when he turned over, was like, yeah, this kid's the next Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, it made him seem like he was gonna be where he'd be when AJ was gone. You're like, it's a weird thing with him.
Yeah, man. Anyway, so I guess we've done this to death now, haven't we? What are your final predictions for this fight?
I think AJ's going to stop him in the 6th round. Counter right hand.
Yeah, I do think this will be the first time Dubois actually gets like properly hurt. I just think AJ's counter punching is just too good. His reflexes are a little bit better. I'd probably say AJ in about 8 or 9 rounds.
I've got this. Everything's telling me Joshua's going to stop him, but I've just got this feeling. I shouldn't predict fights on feeling,
Go
but I've
ahead.
just had this feeling since this fight's been announced that Dubois is just going to catch him and Joshua's going to unravel. Like, sort of like the Hergovich fight where Joshua dominates early, Dubois doesn't go anywhere. Dubois catches him. Joshua can't recover because he doesn't recover like instantly. Dubois sort of throws hundreds of punches and then just gets him out of there. Like, that's just this image in my head. I just think Dubois is going to stop him sort of mid to late.
Well, if it does go like the early rounds against Hergovich, can't see him surviving that. This isn't Hergovich just trying to hit him. This is a confident Anthony Joshua who's going to try to hurt him. And he's sharp and fast. I mean, it's not about power to be powerful. I mean, speed is 50-60% of power.
Yeah.
Speed kills. I mean, he is fast. Combination puncher.
He's fast as hell. He's quick.
I mean, his feet just can't keep up with his hands, so sometimes he gets a bit stuck.
It's like his upper body's in wind while his lower body's in like mud. It's kind of weird.
Well, it's more of a win-win situation for Dubois because if he loses to AJ, I mean, he's still young. He can bounce back. I mean, they'll be like, oh, you just lost to one of the best heavyweights in the world. But Joshua loses to Dubois. I mean,
He might be.
I wouldn't say it's the end, but where does he go after that? I mean, if he
It's
loses
kind
to
of weird because
Dubois,
you're not gonna have a rematch, a trilogy fight with Usyk. I feel like it's unrealistic he'll ever fight Fury. Wilder's gone.
I think
Rematch
Joshua
with
Fury
Parker is
always,
weird. It's just not. He might.
Joshua
well,
Fury always a big fight.
it
I
will
know, but it's
always
not
be there.
realistic to happen.
I
Even if
mean,
he loses, like it's realistic.
if Fury
Like,
loses to
that's always
Usyk and AJ loses to Dubois, I mean,
But do you
it'll still
think
be
Fury wouldn't retire after if he lost to Usyk back
no,
then?
no,
would he
no.
want? I don't think he'd want to go out with a loss.
Fury will fight Joshua. Whatever happens, they can
And
both get knocked out by Usyk and Dubois. That fight still happens.
I wouldn't be confident about that
You,
right
you,
now. But
you,
maybe another day I'd feel different. But I feel like he'd pass
the
it.
British public love sort of these big heavyweight domestic fights. The demand will always be. Look how many times Derek Chisora was sort of dug up. You know what I mean? Like that fight's always big. That fight will always be there.
yep, we would eat it up. Be massive.
I would
It would
eat
It would sell
it.
out Wembley, man.
it would
Sell
sell
out
out. It would
Wembley.
sell out Wembley. It would sell loads of pay-per-views.
I
5 years time, they
I
both
would
get
want to
knocked
be there.
out a few more times. Both with 6 or 7 losses. That does like a big stadium. The money's just too big for that fight not to be there.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be. I'm just saying I feel like it's unrealistic if Joshua is to lose to someone who's like just now come on to like show something.
It was still realistic. It's a massive fight, man. That fight's
Again,
always
I'm
going
not
to be
saying
there.
it's not.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Even if Joshua loses to Dubois.
British markets, it's different than the US market. I mean,
Yeah.
it will always be there.
A lot of the British public don't care about people that have been like. Look at Frank Bruno, man. How many times did he lose? Like the British heavyweight the British public love a heavyweight from Britain that is a good loser and tries, and that's the long and short of it. They love losers in this country.
Bruno lost 5 times.
And I mean, Fury and AJ never going to be less popular, never going to be less known.
I'm saying I still shamelessly kind of want to see how AJ Wilder would end up, but it's just not.
Oh man, Wilder's done.
We know.
I know, but like damn. Even if it's like like a half, a quarter.
This isn't like 4, 5, 6 years ago where Wilder would probably knock AJ out if he doesn't get taken out early himself.
I would have loved to see that car crash, man.
That's what happens when promoters are messing each other about, though. And managers get involved and everyone gets involved. But yeah,
I'm excited for it.
I am, but I'm not. It's a weird one for me. I don't know.
It's like I'm not super excited because I don't feel like it's gonna be like an exciting fight. I feel like they're gonna kind of like post for a while, but it's heavyweight, so at some point someone's gonna land the big one, and most likely it's going to be the last one.
Yeah. So on to the chief support on this card. Hamza Shiraz against Tyler Denny for I think the European title's on the line. I'm not sure. It would make sense that it would be.
It is.
But it is a fight that I'm gonna be honest, I'm quite disappointed in. I don't like this fight at all. I think it's just a horrific mismatch if I'm honest.
I mean, it is. But I mean, I don't really mind it. I mean, is it a step back from Emma
Hamill,
Williams?
definitely, but he's been on a really good run.
I mean, Tyler Dane. I mean, he has been on a good run, and he just beat Felix Cash.
He's beaten the undefeated Brad Ray, Brad Pauls, and Felix Cash in the past like
And
2.5
River
years.
Ben. And River Ben as well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, all 4
But
undefeated.
then again, that's a common opponent.
Yeah, but
Denny went
River
to
was
a
the best.
technical draw in the first fight, and then
I split
went to a
decision in
split
the second.
decision. And then Shiraz, I was at the Shiraz fight against River Wilson Ben. It was on the Ryder Park undercard, and
It lasted a good
he
6 minutes.
and River Wilson Ben after that fight against Shiraz looked like he'd been in a car crash.
Yeah, he's actually he
Yeah.
lost to Ammo and Ryan Kelly since then.
Yeah, and also like one thing, it sounds like I'm a Tyler Denny hater, but he definitely didn't beat McCorney McGowan, and McCorney McGowan got badly robbed in that fight
It was also another
last year.
split decision.
Yeah, Denny's a solid guy, but he's just
I don't think he has any like he doesn't really have a feasible chance at
no.
because he doesn't have a puncher's chance. The only ever knockout he's had in his entire how many years career, nearly 10-year career, was off a cut last year, November.
Because, I mean, even what he's going to do is box. I mean, can he
He
outbox
can't
Hamza
outbox.
Shiraz? Because,
The
I mean,
long levers.
that Shiraz, no, but Shiraz is massive. Like, he's like at least 4 inches, 5 inches taller
He's
than Tyler Denny.
6'4" easy. See, I've still next to him.
Tyler's written down as 5'10".
Because his choice is to try and outbox him, but that will consist of him moving, not landing any punches, and trying to survive. Or does he stand up close
running
with
into
Hamza
jabs.
Shiraz
He's
and
gonna run into jabs, man.
try and take away
His
some of the
eyes on
power
the ball.
and get stopped? I mean, either way, he's going to get stopped.
I don't think he'll get run over, but he's 100% getting. I would kind of be disappointed if he was not to get stopped.
I think it'll be about 5 to 8, that sort of range.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was in 2 rounds or
Wouldn't he?
10 rounds.
I would probably bet in the middle there.
Just depends if he catches him a big shot or he needs to break him down.
I feel like Denny's tough enough that he need to break him down a little bit.
Maybe.
Well, if
It's
you're
just the
getting hit
angle
with
of
that,
that jab against that lead eye, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing I worry about. That's the shot that will do him. Shiraz's jab is so good.
a jab like that, especially if it hits you to the body as well, that won't take long to break you down.
And then he sort of, and it's not like he hasn't fought a southpaw. He's just like had, what is it, 11 rounds, 10, 11 rounds against a much better southpaw that's much more physically gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
11 rounds.
And Shiraz and Denny sparred for that fight against Damo. And yeah, just listen to how anyone in Shiraz's camp talk about that sparring. That like I just can't see Denny doing anything in this fight. I think it's just a horrific mismatch, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it probably will be, but I don't mind the fight on paper.
It's okay. And they're saying that Shiraz is going to fight Denzel Bentley in December, which is, could have a world title on the line.
If it has a world title on the line, I don't mind it. But if it's another just like European title fight, what is he doing at that point? Really, with his career at middleweight, at least.
Yeah, in a division that's easy to get title. Like,
well, he said he wants to. He said in the these workouts here a couple hours ago. He said that what did he say? He it's really hard for him to make 160, but he'll do it. And he'll do it healthily. but he really wants to get a middleweight title before he jumps up.
It wasn't too long ago that he was at 54, which is just
don't-
mad. And
I kind of like I know it happened, but I kind of don't believe he was 154 pounds in the ring, or not in the
Yeah.
ring, but like he weighed in at 154 is
It
actually
was his
insane.
last 154. That was Bradley Skeet, wasn't it?
Bradley Skeet, yeah.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't great. That probably let him know that he needs to go up.
But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Shiraz KO on that, aren't we?
Shiraz KO in about 5 rounds, I'd say.
Yeah, same. Dominant as well. Like he's going to sit on a jab and take him out.
I'm gonna say a 1-2 is gonna finish.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a painful night for Tyler Denny.
Yeah.
I respect him, but he's gonna.
Denny's had a good career and he's come back from the losses to. Was it Linus Udofia and Cartwright? I think he lost to.
Yeah.
He's come back well, but it's like, yeah.
This is another level entirely. From
This
those
ain't
guys.
inactive drunk Felix Cash that hasn't been training. This is somebody that's arguably the best middleweight in the world. That could well be the best middleweight in the world.
Yeah, man. He can come back down to this level once he loses. No shame to lose.
Yeah, there's fights there. Brad Paul's, Linus Udofia rematch. There's loads of good fights.
I'd still watch Tyler Denny. Just this level's a bit too much for him.
Yeah. On to the next fight. Go on, Dan.
I was just gonna say rematch with Brad Pauls or fight with Nathan Heaney. Any of those?
I like that.
Any British guys.
That would be really good.
On to the next fight, the world title fight that isn't Anthony Hikachi against Josh Warrington.
It's actually
horrible.
The IBO title's on the line, actually.
The IBO title on the line. And that just sums up how bad this fight is. It's worthy of an IBO title. Just, Hikachi, man.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a horrible fight. It just makes people, it makes you feel just a little bit sick, really. Like, Josh Warrington getting these opportunities constantly for getting knocked about.
It is crazy to think that Warrington has one win this decade, and he almost had a world title shot in a division he hasn't fought in.
I remember this is going to be dropping a bit of boxing insider talk. Yeah, but I remember at the weekend because the card was announced on Monday, I believe, and I remember on that Sunday or whatever, I was talking to a few people, sort of. They're saying, "Oh yeah, he's going to fight. Kakachi's going to defend against Alpha Barrett." And I thought, you know what? Quick defense on an all British card is what it is. Then I'm told Josh Warrington was an option, but the IBF wouldn't sanction it. I was told this when the card was announced that they weren't going to sanction Warrington, and then they announced it for the IBF title against Warrington. I'm like, what's going on here? Because the IBF aren't sanctioning it, and now sort of a couple of days ago, the IBF officially announced that they're not going to sanction it, and everybody's kicking up about it. I don't know why, because they knew this months ago.
There's no way this fight should have ever even been a thought to be sanctioned.
Yeah, it never was. And that's what I'm saying. They asked, and the IBF said no at the time. So I don't know why. Like, anyway, I guess we've got to analyze it.
It's kind of weird because it's not like Kakachi's any like he beat Cordina, but we kind of know what happened in that fight and what's up with Joe Cordina. But
weight drain because he's off the gear, basically. Yeah, someone's got to say it.
I do think. I think Warrington isn't. He just isn't there anymore, especially at a higher division. I don't think it's a drain thing with him because he's been a featherweight his entire career, basically. He just was given opportunity, and I think he'll go for it. Warrington's one to go for it, but I don't. I think his chin might be gone.
Also, as well, like Warrington's style relies on being this big, tough, physical guy, and Kakachi is massive at 130. Like, I just don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work against Kakachi, man.
I mean, I do think Warrington can box a bit. I mean, he was doing it against Leewood, but can he box for 12 rounds? Because Kakachi, he's not a big puncher, but he's a very big, physically strong guy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Warrington ended up going the distance, but I don't think he will.
I don't think he'll make it.
It's just, I think he's gone, man.
It's like he's not active either. He hasn't. He's fought no fights since the Leewood fight. That's a year ago.
Yeah, October, wasn't it?
October 7th.
Maybe
If you look at his career, like he had the Lara loss, brutal. Lara draw, which I think he quit. He found the way out of that fight. He started headbutting, felt the power, started headbutting, and got a cut and got his way out of there. Kiko Martinez shattered Josh Warrington's draw in that fight. Then Luis Alberto, yeah.
He headbutted Kiko to death in that fight. I can't remember both of his eyes. And I think he was cut on the forehead as well.
It's just. Then Luis Alberto Lopez beat him up for 7 rounds. And then Leewood knocks him out. Like I just think he's done as a fighter, honestly. Like, and he's had a good career, Warrington, but like, I just think there's a point in a fighter's career where he's over the hill and going up a weight class against someone. I think Kakashi can punch. He's got sneaky power. He's not some huge KO artist, but he can definitely punch. He can definitely dig. People feel his power. Kakachi's massive. Like, I just don't see how Warrington can win this fight.
Yeah, it's not I don't think it's a winnable fight for Warrington, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember back when Warrington fought Selby. I mean, no one thought he was going to win that fight. And then the Frampton fight, no one thought he was going to win that fight.
And then the Galahad fight, everyone thought he would win, and then he lost.
Yeah,
no one likes to talk about that. No one likes to talk about him losing to Kid Galahad, you know. But yeah, it's a weird game. Like I just think he's been poorly managed. Like since he went back to Matchroom, that was the worst thing he could have done to his career. They made him chuck his belt away to fight Kanzu that never materialized. Then he goes and gets knocked about by a Mexican they dig up from absolutely nowhere. And then his career has just spiraled out of control since. It's just.
I heard
Andy
Clark mention that of all, like when COVID happened, that of all the champions around that time, Warrington was probably affected nearly like the worst of the champions around that time, like 2019 champions.
Maybe, but like a lot of that was down to his own decision making. Like he's the one that chucked his belt away to pursue a Kanzu fight that wasn't done. Like because he didn't want to fight Kid Galahad again. Like it's just a mess, man. Like
he didn't want to fight Kid Galahad again, and we didn't want to watch that fight again.
Yeah, it's a horrible fight, man. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement in this as well. Kakachi via KO at some point.
Sometime in the last core of the fight. I mean, Warrington's tough. Even in the Lara fight. I mean, look at the beating he took from round 4 to the knockout.
There's literally no reason he should have got
Yeah.
that far in the fight.
I mean, it
So
should have been stopped
that's
in the
his
fourth
corner,
round.
though.
No, but like
That's
just to his
corner.
medal, there's no way that fight should have gotten that far.
That was because of his corner.
I know. I don't know how the hell.
Like,
Like he should have been stopped by the ref. Period in the fourth. He should have been stopped
Yeah.
in the corner after the fourth, and then he got hurt. Like he was still hurt, and he got hurt again in the fifth round. And then Lara just got like he got a bit like exhausted from beating on him that he left it off for a little bit. But the fact that got to 9 rounds is insane.
that probably ruined his career as well.
It did.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Like,
And with the Wood one, I mean, that was just one punch. You know, Wood,
It was
Wood,
unlucky.
Wood can punch. I mean, he just got caught. That's fine.
And that's Lee Wood's thing.
But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you should, well, not get a title shot. I guess. I mean, I can't moan that he's getting a title shot when he's not getting a title shot.
Yeah, to fight a champion.
Yeah.
If he
He's
wins, then Kakashi won't be a champion.
Like he's getting an opportunity against a champion in a higher weight class after getting stopped in the lower weight class.
and fucking around Sugar Nunes as well. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah. You know,
He
I'm not
deserves
surprised.
his shot, man.
I'm
He
not
deserves
surprised.
his shot.
I'm not surprised he doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, but there's better options than Josh Warrington. But why not fight Lee Wood? Why not fight Lee Wood, man?
Where is Lee Wood?
Because
Exactly.
that's a much harder fight.
I think
Like-
Kakashi still wins it, though. Kakashi's a big favourite in that fight.
I mean, someone offers you money to fight, let's say Josh Warrington over Lee Wood. I mean, I can't imagine the payday would be too much different if it's even any different. You're going to
Yeah.
pick Warrington. Easier fight, same amount of money.
You're picking Warrington.
And he's not going to lose his belt because he's not going to lose.
Yeah, but like, I'm more talking about the matchmakers. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's just a mess of a fight, and yeah, it's a bit annoying. It's sad. Obviously, the winner, if the winner's Kakashi, has 180 days to fight Sugar Nunes, which I don't think he'll make because that would be 3 fights in like 11 months or whatever. And Kakashi doesn't do that. His hands are made of like glass. Like it's genuinely amazing the amount of injuries he's had in his career. Like the amount of inactivity. Like
Well,
it's
I'm
ridiculous.
glad that he finally got to be a champion near the end of it. Then, because
Yeah,
he's good, but
he's a good
Yeah,
fighter. But yeah,
I don't think he'll fight Nunez, to be honest.
he won't fight Nunes.
Nunez wasn't like he was great against Rakhimov, and he was like all right against Mariaga, and Mariaga wasn't a good opponent, but he punches so goddamn hard, man. It's not even funny.
I mean, he has had quite a few layers. I remember when he fought Bowen, it was on the Tete Casemiro card. Then he came back like 2 years later to fight.
Didn't he fight Leon
Uh,
Woodstock?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
fought Liam Woodstock on that.
Yeah, that was like 22 months after
And then like
the
he
Magnesic.
fought Magnesi, and then
Yeah,
had
that was a year later.
It was over a year after that. Like
then
9
fought
months,
Magnesi,
and then like
and
a
then
year.
fought the Polish kid.
Yeah, and then like a year to
kid
fight
in
Brody.
Belfast. He fought the Polish kid in Belfast, didn't he? On the Conlan Lopez on the card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then took a year to fight Cordina.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's good that he's active, good that he's getting paid, but like, come on, man, Josh Warrington, man. Anyway, on to the next fight. I think this is probably of the undercard fights the one I'm most intrigued in. Willie Hutchinson against Joshua Buatsi for the interim WBO light heavyweight title.
Oh yeah.
This is a fantastic fight in my opinion.
I'm predicting some list here.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's by far, well, maybe not by far, but it's the best fight on the card. I mean,
Well,
of course, the heavyweights, they'll produce a knockout because that's what they do. But this is seriously intriguing fight. A seriously good fight as well.
It feels like we haven't seen Buatsi in a while, but it was only 7 months ago when he fought Dan Aziz.
Yeah. Like, I'm one for. I really try not to judge fighters off resumes too much. I think Hutchinson was that proof of that. I was one of very few people picking him to beat Craig Richards, and I bet that fight heavy. He's quite a big underdog in that fight. I've been a long time Hutchinson believer. Like even with the loss to Leonard Clark, was it? Yeah, Leonard Clark. I just think the kid's so skillful, man.
He hasn't fought at 168 since, and I don't know.
That's the only time in his professional career he made 168. By the way, if you look down at all his fights, that's the first time he actually made 168.
Yeah, it would have been like.
I've seen him. It looks like in the beginning of his career,
168.
The heaviest it looks like he's been is like 180 something, like 181.
Yeah,
he's a big dude. Like he's not like tall. He's not like a tall person, but he's pretty like strong.
He's 6', and he's.
And then I feel like I remember the Lennox Clark fight. I was like, he's like really. He doesn't like look. He doesn't like look regular. Like he looks like significantly smaller than Lennox Clark. And Lennox Clark's also another big dude, but he's like big for that weight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he showed me a lot in that Richardson fight, but late on, that was a worry.
Yeah, that's ultimately where I think Buatsi's going to win this fight.
Because, I mean, Craig Richards, I mean, he's okay, but he's not the best. And considering Buatsi's also beat Craig Richards, clearly better than Craig Richards.
That was the only time he's been past 7 rounds was in that Richards fight, and you could see in the second half he was kind of cooked, like stamina wise.
I've always been a fan of Dubois. I remember watching him in the Olympics. I mean, he was good. I mean, he got arguably the best knockout of that Olympics as well. But just not a fan of the way his career has gone.
Yeah, his career.
Since. I mean, speak of Warrington being mismanaged, so is Buatsi.
Yeah, Buatsi's the whole Hearn fallout, the turning down multiple opportunities. The unforgivable one for me was the John Pascal thing. He was going to get John Pascal in an IBF final eliminator at home, and he turned it down. And then Pascal went and lost to Michael Eifert. Lost like every round of that fight as well.
I probably would have picked Buatsi to beat. It's weird because I feel like with the yard fight that didn't materialize, and that fight, I feel like most people would have picked Buatsi to win, but then he just doesn't.
Well, I mean that's fine because at the time, I mean Eddie and Frank, they did not work together. Kind of still impressive they do. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Hopefully they can make that happen. I'd still kind of want to see Buatsi yard.
Well, now it's Yard that's on the outside, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kicking off with litigation with Warren, but that's coming to an end now, so we might see that fight freed up.
Buatsi fell out with Hearn, just to fight on a Hearn card again.
That's how boxing is now, isn't it? But yeah, this fight, I think it's one of these fights where I think that Hutchinson's more skilled, but can't keep it up. I think Hutchinson's going to dominate, like completely outbox Buatsi for the first sort of 3 or 4 rounds, then just completely fall apart. But that's how I see the fight going.
I mean, he's got that type of style. I mean, he's really good. I mean, he had really good footwork. Fast on his feet as well. I mean, he punches all different angles. I mean, he'll probably have Buatsi befuddled, but then I think that pedigree will take over.
Yeah. Well, the pedigree, like you're saying that, like Hutchinson was a very, very good amateur as well. Like
he
won youth Olympic gold, like everything at youth level he won really. Like he's an exceptional amateur. but like chose to. I think he got who was it? The American manager, Shelly Finkel.
Yeah.
Shelly Finkel picked him out that Youth Olympics and like basically convinced him to turn pro, and he went pro with like David Hay or someone. I think.
He did. I think it was David Hay and Richard Schaefer
Yeah, like
before
he
he
had
went to Frank.
backing. He had backing, man. Hutchinson.
Oh,
Like,
that was the days he was trained by Ishmael Salas. I remember that.
yeah, like his mouth Salas, man. Woody Hutchinson and Salas, mad.
Mm.
The people that Salas is trained. Yeah, I just think Buatsi has been through enough tough fights to sort of realize when to be calm in the ring, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He can weather a storm a little bit. He did against the Kalic, I think his name was, the Croatian kid. Kalic had a lot of success in that fight. He bust Buatsi's eye up a bit, and Buatsi just stayed calm, stayed ready, and then took him out late. And I think that's what's going to happen there.
Well, I think he might be able to last a distance, but why is he the spiteful guy in the ring, man?
I feel like I pick
And
up by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped him late, since he hasn't really gone late before. Like he's been late one time with Richards, and you've seen the stamina issues kind of show
there's some
themselves
bad,
in the last few rounds. But
there's some bad blood too.
Yeah. Yeah, I just Buatsi will just like it's just the season and man. Like I said before, like a lot of times skill over resume, but that doesn't necessarily mean skill over experience. I just think Buatsi's too experienced.
yeah.
Like he's been long distances before. He's been in situations where he's been hurt and come through it. He's been in situations where he's in fights that he's not meant to win. Really, like he's been in these situations, and I think he knows how to handle them. And I think the clean, sort of hard hitting punches that are sort of more efficient than Hutchinson sort of throwing these weird sort of uppercuts and weird angle shots and dancing around. That's going to be the difference. I think that's the word. Buatsi's a lot more efficient.
Inconsistent.
Yep.
Yeah, my prediction would probably be Buatsi by like a 8-4, 9-3 decision.
I think he's going to be down, like 5 or 6 nil, but then go and stop him late. I really think I really think Hutchinson has this sort of style where you take 5 or 6 rounds to figure him out. If you can't catch him,
Or 10 rounds if you're Craig Richards.
yeah, but like you say, Buatsi's a lot better than Craig Richards is.
And smart. And not possibly washed like Craig Richards.
And not possibly away from a certain gym with a certain issue of a certain substance. Well, but yeah, we wish the board well with their silent bans, don't we? Moving on. What else is on this card? Josh Padley against Mark Chamberlain. Mark Chamberlain KO. He's meant to win this by KO. He will win it by KO. I think we can all agree on that.
We don't really have to talk that much on this. Right?
Last time he stopped someone he was meant to win who's not a good opponent, he got moved up a place in rings rankings.
Yeah,
Might
but
happen
they've got to
again. He's
make it
gonna
look
move up
good.
to he's gonna move up to 8 this time.
Yeah, but you've got to make the world title fight against Barinchik in December look sort of palatable, haven't you? So that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, he'll fight Barinchik in December, and he'll probably get beat, and then they'll feed him up to Sam Noakes or someone.
That's not a bad one. I like that one.
I think Sam Noakes dominates him. I think Sam Oakes is the better lightweight in this country by quite some distance.
Yeah, he is, although that's not saying too much.
Yeah. Also on the card, Josh Kelly is fighting Ismail Davis, a late replacement for Liam Smith, who I think everybody was really, really shocked when Liam Smith pulled out of this fight. You know, definitely looked like he'd been training at the press conference. Definitely looked like he was definitely in shape. Definitely looked like he was good against Eubank and his body was still there. But yeah, I just think Josh Kelly's going to dance rings around Ismail Davis and completely outbox him. He's got that amateur skill. If you look at their fights against Troy Williamson, Kelly won every round. Davis won every round of the first 7 and then lost the last 5. So, like, yeah, I just think Kelly just outboxes him to a wide point.
This has 119, 109 written all over.
Yeah, or 99-91, hopefully, because I think it's a 10 round, but I'm not sure.
It says 12.
Is it 12? Oh, God.
I don't know if it doesn't seem like there's a title on the line, though. 10 or 12.
Kelly wins wide. Kelly wins wide, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's not bad. For a
It's
late
not a bad
replacement.
late replacement, yeah. But it's just, you know, Josh Kelly wins wide. Again, like, it's not a bad late replacement, but I think Josh Kelly's been slightly underrated, especially since the Avanesian defeat. I think he's quite a good fighter.
It's good. He's just not been like that entertaining, but he is really good like boxing. He is a really good technical fighter. But
He's stopped that style over substance. He's more substance over style now. That's what we hated when he was a younger fighter.
Yeah. He was
Just
too
doing
fast.
stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Stop moving.
punch.
Stop moving your head all the time.
Stop throwing 17 left hooks in a row. And like, just,
It's like he was fighting for a highlight reel,
yeah.
and now he's fighting to win, but then it's not super great. But post Avanesian, the Williamson fight was really good. Good performance, but it's been like in and out since the Avanesian loss. But I think he is a little underrated. I think he'll beat Davis pretty easily.
I mean, he was underrated by a lot of people going into that Williamson fight. I mean, I picked him to win.
People rated Troy Williamson for knocking out Ted Cheeseman. He was a perennial life and death merchant.
I mean, he also beat Mason Cartwright. I mean, that's not.
He barely beat Mason Cartwright, let's be honest. That could have gone either way, if I remember correctly. That was a very, very close fight.
He was dropped in that fight.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good.
It was a list.
It was list.
It
So
was
was Ted Cheeseman.
both
Back-to-back list fights.
Yes, indeed. This
now,
fight we're talking about now will not be in the list.
Now Troy Williamson is fighting on Tom Schwartz versus Carlos Takam on the card in Dubai. So
he's fighting an 8-rounder against TBA.
So yeah,
TBA's had it rough over the last.
TBA has TBA has 11 fights on this card.
Man, he's gonna. Them payday must be crazy.
But yeah, that's the card in full. There's a couple of other fights this weekend, and Melvin Jerusalem's defending his WBC minimum weight title against Luis Castillo on Sunday. Jaime Gears fighting Eric Bazinian on Friday night. And I think that's about it. There's not really anything else this week. Is there?
I think Noel Gevor is
That's next week, isn't it? The 28th.
Was it 20? I thought it was the 22nd, or maybe that's the Jerusalem Castillo.
Yeah, Jerusalem Castillo Sunday, but Noel Gevor is on
the 28th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it though.
Obviously, this card brought to you by Turkey. What's your thoughts about him in boxing?
I am not a fan of Turkey. Al Sheikh. You know, I mean, he does a few good things. I like the fact that he's got Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren to work together. And some of these fights, despite what some people say, he's putting on fights that people ask for, and some fights that people want.
Yeah, it's like he's playing like fantasy fight with the
But
money dangling over everybody.
I say him putting on these fights. I mean, he's not putting on these fights. He's a glorified bank account for boxing.
Yep.
These promoters are putting on these fights, and you know, he comes across to me as an entitled, narcissistic, rich guy who just thinks everyone should just drop what they're doing, say yes. He wants everyone to be yes men to him. Like with the thing with BoxRec, I mean, he tried to buy BoxRec. They didn't want that. So he paid the WBA and the WC over $1 million. And he's trying to buy a ring. I mean, this is not all about you.
It's disgusting. I need him at my game, the game I love so much. For certain things, like keep give me some good fights, but
Like
back up.
It just feels like a game.
One of
It
the
feels
biggest
like
issues,
a
I think,
game.
one of the biggest issues, is him sort of the damage he's doing to the natural market of fights. It is now impossible for any good fights of any levels to happen in Britain unless they're paid for by him. I know this card's at Wembley and that, but it's a Riyadh event. There's no natural
They
fights that can
need
happen
that
in Britain.
turkey bag.
No, I don't even blame them. I don't even blame them because they're getting paid like 2 or 3 times their natural worth.
Yeah,
That's
but then
the
when he's
issue.
not around anymore and they're still looking for that bag, it won't be there.
And now nobody can make fights anymore as well. That's a big issue. If you're Shakur Stevenson, what's the motivation to make a Gervonta Davis fight if you're getting offered $5 million for Joe Cordino?
Yeah. What's he gonna do when he gets bored? What's the state of boxing gonna be like? I mean, everyone's gonna have to take half pay cuts, even 70% pay cuts because they can't pay him. What is all fights gonna have to be pay per view because people aren't gonna go back to getting paid as little again? No fight's gonna happen, or
It's just not.
maybe unlike back in the day when people were only paid big money for the big fights, which is why they all got made. That could work when he leaves.
I hope he does leave as a person. He doesn't seem to be that great of a fella, but
He's done some good things for the sport.
he's done a couple good things, but it's not overshadowing the harm he's doing to the progression of the sport.
Putting everything on the zone as well isn't a good idea, in my opinion. That's a totally separate discussion about how you grow the sport.
I'm tired of hearing Todd Grisham.
Look, it just every time someone is having a discussion about boxing or this fight's make, they're like, "Oh yeah, well Turkey might want that. Oh yeah, you can bring it to Saudi Arabia." I'm like, no, the boxing world does not revolve around. There is a lot of other countries, lots of other promoters. He's not even a promoter; he's a bank account. Yep, we're gonna have to move on. My head is going to explode.
All I'll say is there's a reason that the mega stars in this sport in America aren't needing him.
Yeah. See Canelo going over to him? No. Gervonta going over to him? No. Inoue going over to him? No.
But yeah, it's a messy situation, and I think there's people that hate him and everything he's doing, which I think is wrong. But there's also people that are loving everything and won't have a bad word to say about him, which I also think is wrong. There's a lot of criticism there that needs to have an open discussion about. But yeah. I think that's it for this episode. If anything else.
One last point about him. I love the fact he's posting these full fights on YouTube.
Yeah, that's about
this is what
the thing I like about You don't gotta wait a year to see a fight.
Yeah,
Like he's posting. I mean, he's not even just posting these full fights. I mean, he's posting these full cards. He's posting 10-hour cards
Yeah, that's a good thing.
and the full fights in English as
Yeah.
well. I mean, he also posts them in Arabic, but he also posts them in English.
Like he deserves like a handshake, but he seems like the person that you need to drop to your knees when you're near me, and I'm just not doing that. I'll give you a cool little handshake for what you've done for the last
But yeah,
for the last year
Pro-
of the sport. But
props for the good stuff you're doing, but you're not uncriticizable. You're not perfect. Far from it.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll be discussing him more over the next episodes as we go on throughout this podcast world. Now, like always, all our links and stuff for YouTube's, Twitter's, Discords they're in the description if I can actually get my words out. This has been episode 4. We've had a really good response on the first 3 episodes. Like the support's been great. And I think I speak for all 3 of us when I say thank you to every single one of you that's listened, subscribed, liked, shared, done all that stuff. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for listening this week.
Thank you. See you in episode 5.